Hello, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to this audio or video, depends on if you're on YouTube or not, put on by Tecmo Bowl versus RBI.com, the best website on the internet for both of those games. So if you haven't visited, check it out. Today we're talking Season 5 of Tecmo Bowl. The date is May 27th of 2011. Now we're at that midway point of the season. Well, we're 6 games in to the 12-game season, so a lot of the storylines are starting to take off right now, and we got some concrete standings to talk about. So in the AFC Tecmo division, we got the Giants, 49ers, and Redskins all tied up at 3-3. If you're watching on YouTube at home, I'm going to get some graphics up so you can follow along with the standings and all this. So I'll be putting those up there in just a second.
Interesting thoughts I have, I suppose, about this particular division is that the Giants being 3-3, they're 3-0 at home, and for those of you mathematically inclined, that would mean they're also 0-3 on the road, which is it further proves that home is where you want to be come playoff time.
Yeah, player one. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, gives you a little bit extra boost on your kicks and has some other advantages as well. So home is definitely where you want to be. And in this division, it's been, we thought it would be a bloodbath coming into the season in this particular division, having 3 of the 4 best defenses in the game, arguably in the same division. And points have been indeed difficult to score here. What I find most interesting about this division, though, is that though all of them are 3-3, it's kind of misleading. The Giants' opponents in their 6 games, their opponents are 7 games above 500, and they went 3-3 against teams that are 7 games above 500. San Francisco went 3-3 against teams that are 3 games below 500, and Washington went 3-3 against 6 teams that are 7 games below 500. So the Giants are the only team that's played, significant opponents. They're the only team that's done that 3-3 record against teams above 500, and so the competition has been a lot different for those 3 teams. Washington facing the worst schedule, and New York by far having the toughest schedule so far.
Yeah, I'll say one thing about the Giants is despite the 3-3 record, their defense, they had one really bad game. But other than that, I think we had a stat, they've only given up 16 points in the 5 games outside of Seattle. So the defense has been there. The offense just has been struggling. San Francisco, they're a team that's kind of been all over the place. They've had problems scoring points. They lost a couple games early where they only gave up 6 points and 3 points respectively, so they're close to being a 4, maybe even 5 win team. And then Washington, they have only allowed 15 points on defense, which is easily tops in the league. And the Redskins are always near the top in defense, so they're living up to the billing with their defense, even though their offense will struggle definitely to score some points.
The Redskins, despite having that awesome defense, are 1-2 in the division. And so that means they're 1-2 playing the Giants and the 49ers. They split with the 49ers, and
likely going to get swept by the Giants, I'd say.
We're hoping.
That's so for the Giant fans out there. So
the other huge thing I thought about coming up as far as the future of this division goes is that not only have the Giants gone 3-3 against the toughest competition, they also have by far and away the toughest schedule left to play. As far as win-loss records go, the worst team they play in their last 6 games of the season is San Francisco,
at 3-3,
who they play twice.
Yeah,
and San Francisco is easily either the number 1 team in the game or the number 2 team in the game. So their easiest opponent, according to their record for the end of the season, from now till the end of the season, is the best team in the game next to them, and they play them twice. So that's quite a daunting task for the Giants. San Francisco, on the other hand, has 3 rough games. They obviously play the Giants twice, and they play the Bears once. And then their other three opponents are
Teams, yeah,
pretty well teams they should walk over. And then Washington plays four teams above them in the standings and two teams below them in the standings. So Washington has a fairly tough schedule comparatively for them, at least. They have a tougher back half of the season than they did a front half of the season.
Yeah,
so.
it's really going to be on their defense to hang with it. So we're going to move along to the AFC Bowl division. You got Chicago at 5-1, Colts at 4-2, and the Vikings 0-6. Chicago, in our estimation, has been the most dominant team in the league. And it's really not debatable. They've crushed a lot of teams. They lost a close one to Miami, so they were just an eye-bat away from being 500.
Right now it's just a situation where if you're going to play the Bears, if you're going to beat them, you absolutely have to bring your A and sometimes your A-plus game,
sure,
depending upon who you are, if you want any chance of beating them. They don't care who they play right now. They're bringing their best game, and you're going to get their best shot. They have, as Brad said, they've been by far and away the best team. Even though they got one loss, they've been by far and away the best team in the entire game this season so far. So
also like to point out the Bears are 3-0 in the conference. So if we get down to late to tiebreakers and such, I mean that's a great record to have. The Bears do have road games at San Francisco and at the Giants coming up back-to-back weeks. So they either have a chance to excel or else it's going to just be too tough of a hurdle for them to overcome.
The Colts are the next best team in this division. They also have the second best record in the conference. The Colts are 4-2. They've gone 3-1 on the road. Which means that they've been road warriors so far this year, and they've done a great job there. So.
Played some middle-of-the-road teams, Washington's in there, Minnesota, but they've taken care of business against teams they should beat on the road. And their defense has only given up 20 points this season.
And I think that's probably the biggest surprise and why they've had the improved record this year is that their defense, which usually they're stout against the run, but usually you can there's passing yards to gain against them. And this year their defense has just been amazing. Their defensive coordinator is probably the early favorite for coordinator of the year. And this season, they've just had a great season so far on the defensive side of things. They got many guys looking to be in the Pro Bowl at the end of the year. The doormat of this division is the Vikings. They're 0-6. I hasten to call them the doormats. Even though they haven't won a game, they have scored a total of 6 points. 6 points all season in 6 games.
That's not getting it done.
You're averaging 1 point a game. You're not going to win too many games. Yeah. They've only allowed 43 points all season.
Not bad.
That's roughly a touchdown a game. Usually you're going to think you're going to get some victories allowing only a touchdown a game, but they've just really hit some bad luck this season, and they just really haven't been able to move the ball. Probably the biggest factor there is Carter, who's their kick returner, who's usually one of the best in the game, has had a really sketchy season and really has struggled to get anything going. And when he's struggling and they can't get field position, their offense struggles.
All right. I want to make a quick point about the Bears and Colts, and they're in contention for the number 1 seed. They play in Week 7, upcoming here, and that game I really feel is going to decide the conference. If the Colts win, they split with the Bears and tie things up, but they only have a game against the Giants at home, as to where the Bears' schedule is considerably tougher. So I'm really surprised at this point in the season to look at the schedule and see that the Colts can get the 1 seed, although they have to beat the Bears, otherwise it's over in the division. So it's unlikely. I think it's going to happen, but it's out there. There's a chance the Colts can be the 1 seed this year as a surprise.
The very last thing I'd say is that the two Rovers in this particular conference, the Washington Redskins and the Bears, have a combined record of 8-4. So they're 4 games over 500, which is just a great job by the Rovers this year so far.
Okay, well, we'll switch gears and get over to the NFC recap for the season.